Buck nasty.
Now you are home. Think that you're there.
All right, so moving on to the top five, Devin Haney's kind of a guy who earned his place on the list based off of one fight, right? He got the undisputed status in one fight. Like I said, he didn't look great in the couple fights before that. But number five, we have another guy who you could argue earned his spot on the list off of one fight as well. I mean, you could argue it. I'm not saying that's definitive, but he's 19-0.
Dimitri Bivol.
You're not supposed to say it yet.
Oh, sorry. I don't
got to reveal.
Jesus, this isn't a game show.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Paris, this isn't the Schmodown, okay?
I'm sorry.
And apparently nothing is anymore. This guy is 19-0. Got to cut that out. Nobody's gonna understand that. 19-0.
Keep that in.
With 13 knockouts, he holds the WBA, IBF, WBO, and IBO. So he's not undisputed, but he's close. He's unified. We are talking about Oleksandr Usyk coming in.
I was completely wrong.
He dominated the light, the cruiserweight division for a long time, and he moved up to heavyweight, and he took on the top guy at heavyweight, arguably, and Anthony Joshua.
Is he the top guy though?
He took it to him.
He was the top guy.
Not anymore, but yeah.
When you lose to Ruiz, I don't know if you're the top guy, but let me just absolutely agree with Fares. This unified, undisputed belt crap is stupid. It's dumb. You got 4 belts and it's not undisputed. Come on.
No. Four is undisputed.
I think okay, so it's
not.
3.
3 is not.
How many belts did you name?
I'm sorry, Shug. You are correct technically because he does have 4 belts. It's just the IBO. Yeah. IBO is not a major belt, or it's not considered a major belt. There are more than 4 positions.
I know.
It's WBA, WBC, WBO, and IBF. So
the IBO
STFU, get the hell out of here with that shit. Like, good God.
WTF, SHM. Like, how? What? Now, here's the thing. The reason the IBO exists is that it's the super heavyweight title. Like where they're like it's people like above 200 and.
No, you're thinking of something else. That is the they have another weight class.
Because Lennox Lewis created this weight class because the man was 6'8", almost.
They kind of inserted it between cruiserweight and heavyweight. It's the Bridger weight class, which is like 200s to 225.
No. The one above heavyweight, Brady. There's one that's super heavyweight.
Well, yeah, but I mean these guys aren't really there. The IBO is just another. They're another. Commission. The thing with IBO is that they use, I believe they're the ones that use a computerized ranking, and so people don't respect that because they get it right. Human rankings are so great
because they get the rankings right. That's why they put in the information, and the computer's like, hey.
I just want to point out computers get it wrong sometimes too. Just want to point out 2000 Oklahoma, Florida State. It should have been Oklahoma, Miami.
Well, listen, the computers get it wrong just as often because they're programmed by humans to look at, hey, this is what's important. This is what's important.
So humans are getting it wrong all the time.
Yeah,
so it's still. Here's the thing: it's computer based, but it's still human based because humans created the code. So it's not really computer based, basically. Like, that's the thing. And you know what?
I just find it annoying. Like, you're saying this belt's there, and they're saying, well, nobody respects it. Or you're talking about Tank Davis. Well, he has a belt, but he doesn't have a belt. Like, it's just. Does he have a freaking belt or not? Is this IBF a belt? If not, go throw it in the trash. Can we stop with this? Have the belts and recognize them, or don't have the belts and recognize them. Good God, it's annoying.
They need to cut down some of these. They got to cut down.
They're recognized. They're not respected.
I'll say this, man. If I hear one more, I am the WBA super middleweight left weight. on weight, all the time weight, light heavyweight, middleweight champion. I swear to God, I'm
Hold
gonna
up.
kill somebody.
Is Mikey gonna start going around talking about he's the LBHT super heavyweight?
He ain't got no
Swear to
belt.
God.
He ain't
Swear to
never
God,
getting
Mike.
no belt.
You
You know what?
Hey,
better not do
Listen,
that.
I feel like my pick'em championship is not respected enough. Like some of
It's
these
not.
other
No,
It's not.
nor should it be. Nor should it be.
Who cares?
There's only one champion on Let's Play Hot Take, and that's our guy, Deshaun.
John, yeah.
But it's not going to be him after this year either.
It'll be fair.
So it'll be fine. No, it'll be fair.
You know what, Tank Davis, you are the Ring Kings non-regular lightweight champion. That's what you are.
There you go.
No,
right,
he's not,
so-
because Devin Haney's undisputed. So
Okay,
no,
see,
So Usyk,
he's
so
just not a champ.
Usyk was
I have to cut out all of that.
Usyk was the undisputed champion at
There you
cruiserweight,
go.
was he not?
yes,
Uh,
he was.
I'm-
I believe he was.
I believe so, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, he beat Murat Gasavi in 2018, where he won the WBA, IBF, and the Ring Cruiserweight titles, while also winning the
Nope.
World Boxing Super
We don't
Series.
recognize the IBF, Ferris.
Hold
Don't
on.
bring it up.
No,
IBO.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
IBF,
But-
IBO, whatever.
But also retaining the WBC and the WBO World Cruiserweight titles. So like he was the Cruiserweight king.
Okay, so he dominated that weight class and then moved up to heavyweight, which I'm not gonna lie. Initially, I slept on him because he was on some pound for pound list early on before I really knew who he was.
Actually, he did two heavyweight fights. That's the thing. People only talk about the Joshua fight. He beat
beat-
Derek.
like,
He
just
beat Derek.
saw it.
Well, he had a few. He beat Volin as well. Otto Volin.
Otto Valin.
Yeah, Volin.
Yeah.
And then he beat Chisora because he was gradually working his way into it. You know, he was fighting bigger guys and
Also,
building up his own
too,
body and everything.
I should point out. I know no one gives a flying fadoodle about this, but he did win gold at the London Olympics in the heavyweight class.
Yeah.
So now he did win gold there.
Yeah.
And what
Which
was
is
it,
weird.
28?
28, probably. They lie about their age. I don't know.
I'm just saying he's old now. Like I know he was young.
But I mean, the point is like, so he dominated that weight class, and then
Like King
he
Kong
moved
Ortiz is 82. So
Yeah, I mean, he moved up to heavyweight, and I mean, look, it was a close fight, but I mean, he took on one of the top heavyweights. And how many belts did he get? How many belts did Joshua have?
He had 4 belts.
Three.
Oh, he had 4 belts.
Three,
so
four.
he's undisputed.
But nobody cares about the one. So
Okay, so he's unified. So undisputed in one class, unified.
I'm getting
in another one.
irritated. I'm getting irritated with that. I'm not even playing.
But
It's annoying now.
But hold on.
it really is though.
But
It really
so
is.
It's horrible.
But going back to what we were saying earlier in the stream is usually we don't have heavyweights up there, right? But this is a man that has shown you like dominance at 2 weight classes. He has some true skill. And I think he is the best heavyweight in that division. I think he's better than Fury. I think he's better than Joshua. I think he's going to win the rematch with Joshua. Initially, I thought, okay, Joshua could win a rematch, but then I thought about it and I was like, Usyk didn't fight the perfect fight either, right? So he can go back and refine
Tighten
something.
things up.
Yeah. So I think he's the man to beat at heavyweight right now. So yeah, he made my list for sure. In fact, I had number 2 on my list.
No, here's the thing. He's the guy that I always point to, like, this is what you should have done, Canelo, against Bivol. Dude, because like Joshua was the bigger guy, the more powerful guy. Usyk just like, I'm just gonna box you, dude.
Yeah.
Because you can't box. Like the Usyk fight showed me that like there is legitimately not a boxer. There aren't boxers in the heavyweight division. Like there's a bunch of big guys with power, with some technique, like Tyson Fury. Here's the thing: people are like, "Oh, look at Tyson Fury. He's the boxer." It's because you look at him and you compare him to the other two who don't know what the hell boxing is. You know what I mean? Like the thing people talk about in the Klitschko fight with Joshua is like how he survived Klitschko's power. Not that he outboxed Klitschko, is that he survived his power and dropped him. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like he outclassed him. The only talking point we talk about that, and same thing with like Wilder is Wilder. Like there's not enough to say that. Like, we all know what he is.
Either the right hand lands or he loses.
Exactly. Like that's the thing with the, like, no, I'm not trying to like shit on Tyson Fury. That's what I'm saying. Like with Usyk is that he just said, I just have to box you guys. That's it. Okay. And like you said, Jose, it wasn't his best boxing match either. And he still won. It was very clear that he won this fight. It wasn't like, did Joshua win? Did Usyk win? No, it was like, no, he won, and he still didn't have his best boxing fight. And, and here's the thing too: he's Ukrainian, and the Ukrainian fighters are going through a lot right now. So if he beats Joshua after what he has to deal with, that's impressive. Because that's the thing people don't talk about, man. People are like, oh, that doesn't have to do anything with boxing, but it has to do with the boxer.
Yeah.
Imagine signing up to like basically defend your home territory, and then asking them, "Can I go do my job real quick?" And they say yes. You're going to do your job, but you're really not there because you're like, yo, what's going on with my mom's, or like, yeah, like that's like, I don't want to like bring extracurriculars into this, but like it is a big thing for him because he is in one of the biggest fights of his career where he has to re-solidify that I beat you because I'm better than you. The re-solidifying fights is that like, yeah, I didn't just beat you. It wasn't a fluke. I beat you down. A lot of people lose those, like Hassan Rahman, but he isn't. I don't know why. Hey. Oh my God, that was unnecessary. Hey. Yo, Hassan, wherever you are, I'm sorry.
Wow, that was a shot at Mike. That was a shot at Mike. Can I just say this before we move on, just real quick? And I think you're right, Jose. I think this guy, he dominated in cruiserweight, and he's looking good in heavyweight, and we'll see where he goes. And maybe that's the fight that brings Tyson back. And then if he beats Tyson, we'll see. That's gonna solidify him. But I'll say this: has anybody had the worst fall ever from being number one and the best ever than Anthony Joshua, where everyone thought he was like the mega fight, the man, and now it looks bad. Like if he loses his next fight the way he lost last time, I think he's out. Like he's just done. And he was like on top of the world. Like we wanted him in Wilder, we wanted him in Fury, and now it's like.
But this is what makes you great. This team great and very good, right? Mm-hmm. He could be remembered as a very good heavyweight, which he is. But if he wins, he's right back on track. If he beats Usyk and then goes and beats Tyson Fury, then he's right back at the top.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everything's still on the table for Anthony Joshua. And look, do you want to be great or not? I don't want to fault Anthony Joshua for taking that fight with Usyk. I thought it was ill-advised. He had $75 million on the table for a Tyson Fury fight, but he wants to be great. So, okay, he's chasing greatness. He came up short in the first fight. He gets to do a rematch. He wants to do the rematch. He believes he can win. And if he does, he's right back on track. So everything's there for him.
Also, too, heavyweights, none of them are undefeated. Even the great ones have 1 or 2 losses on their belt. So, like, if he ends his career with 1 or 2 losses, and he like resurrects himself by beating Usyk, which he lost to. Here's the thing: it's not that like he's rebounding the losses. He beat Ruiz. You may not have been impressed with the fight, but it was a strategic fight where he was like, I'm gonna be more of a Klitschko punch, grab, punch, grab. But he still beat him. And if he beats Usyk, then beats Fury, and then like out of nowhere, like he fights Wilder and beats him, he kind of like resurrects his career in a sense, because like Muhammad Ali, like the top 25 list, he was the greatest boxer of all time for us. He had like 4 losses or 6 losses, I think. You know what I mean?
I think he had more than that, but
exactly. Yeah. So, you know what I mean?
It's not the losses. It's, remember a couple of years ago, the fight we all wanted to see was Wilder Joshua.
Yes.
And that was $1 million fight. If I ask you now, do you want to see Wilder Joshua? People are not gonna pay for that fight.
I still would fight.
That's on both of them though. That's not just on Joshua.
It's just not on Joshua. It's on both of them. But it's just what we were talking about a couple of years.
Yeah, with
Anthony Joshua. That's all I'm saying. I didn't mean that. I know
here's the thing, man. Here's the thing. If Eddie Hearn could do business with Jake Paul, he could you could do bit like these other boxing promoters, like they could do business with each other. Like man, like that's the thing. Like Eddie Hearn legitimately was like, I'll do business with this YouTuber who turned to boxer, and he did good business. They did good business. Like I think everyone won. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, don't give me this excuse like we can't do business with each other. I'm like, bro, he literally just did business with a YouTuber.
It's already starting. Him and we already know him and Leonard Ellerby don't like each other, and then Bob Arum's throwing shots at
literally,
him too,
dude.
We'll see.
But again, I'll say it. Dana White. Just gonna say.
But I think I had Usyk. I had him at 7. Right?
Where did I have him at? I want to see where.
I had him at 7, but I'll say this: I need this fight right? To I guess solidify him in for me a little bit more, right? If he pulls this off, or even if he makes it a close, if it's a close slug out, it comes down to the wire, and he might lose a close fight or whatever. Even that will say a lot more for me. Will tell me some more about this guy. But he's on my list 7. He no one gave him a chance, right? Only people I know that really gave him a chance was Jose and Brodny going into that fight. And honestly, the world thought that this was just him in the way of Joshua and Fury. He stepped in the way, and man, hurry up and take care of this guy so we can get to what we want to see. And he went in there and he shut down the whole game, right? So, he deserves to be on the list. I need to see this fight, see the outcome of this fight, and then that will determine if he moves up on my list. And some lists have him as high as 5, but they haven't run that 5 or 6 range. So
I see him at 3 on a couple lists. I see him at 3.
Yeah, he's pretty high on a lot of lists. So he's within the top 5 to 6 on most lists. So
Mikey, just like you, man, I didn't know who he was until I talked to Jose and Brodny when the fight came up. They're like, "Hey, Fares, watch out for him." I'm like, "I'll watch out for him. Who the hell is he?" I mean, they told me, and then Brodny was like, "He's the former cruiserweight champion." And I was like, "All right, cool, that's cool." Cruiserweights are just like underdeveloped heavyweights so like he has a chance. Evander Holyfield is the reason the division was created. So like, yeah, and I was like, all right, fine. And then I watched the fight, and it just felt like, yo, why is Joshua there? Man, he's getting his ass handed to him.
Well, look, I'm not gonna take a whole lot of credit for it because I slept on him, man. Like I didn't think he was gonna be able to handle himself amongst the top heavyweights, right? Like, but the thing with Joshua, I knew Joshua sometimes he falls asleep at the wheel sometimes. So that's why I gave Usyk a chance in that fight, but. I won't say he dominated the fight. I think it was a good fight. They went back and forth, but Usyk showed me a lot in that fight. One, that he could take a punch from the top heavyweights, and 2, he can just outbox those guys and win the fight. So,
full disclosure, I didn't watch the full fight. I was kind of late to the fight, but the rounds that I was watching the Joshua Usyk fight, because it was at like 12 o'clock in the afternoon because they fought in England. So like I kind of was like just waking up, so I missed. But like the rounds I saw, it was like, damn.
Yeah, Fares. What you're saying is you watched the highlights.
No, I actually watched the fight. No, I watched the fight. I just watched the entire fight.
I think Usyk started off really well, and I think to his credit, Joshua came back in that fight. He didn't fold like he did against Ruiz. He showed a lot of heart. He showed some skill in that fight. It was close. But he just, he didn't get the win. But to the point that y'all were making earlier, yeah, losses don't ruin your career. They don't derail your career necessarily. It's how you bounce back from it. They can even be a positive. If for Anthony Joshua, if he comes back and he has another great fight with Usyk and he wins, I think that raises his name up even more than if he had just beaten him to begin with, and everybody's like, oh, well, that's just a cruiserweight moving up. He's a fake heavyweight, blah blah blah. And similar to the next guy on our list coming in at number 4, we have Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is 57-2-2 with 39 knockouts. He recently beat Caleb Plant, Billy Joe Saunders. He beat Triple G. He's the undisputed champ at 168. And his last fight, he lost to Dimitri Bivol. He moved up to light heavyweight, and he was thoroughly outboxed in that fight. He came in with the poor strategy, and he stuck to it and didn't work. If he comes back and changes his strategy and beats Dimitri Bivol, then that says more about Canelo than the loss does, right? You're moving him right back up to the top of your list if he comes back and avenges that loss. So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't look at losses like that as damning or anything like that. Unless you're talking about guys like Buster Douglas, who you have no business losing to. You know what I mean? Those losses hurt a bit.
Disrespectful. Why are you disrespecting Buster Douglas?
But true.
Okay.
But when
he
you're
was in my
about
top 25 all time. Okay. God, bro.
But when you're talking about other top fighters, a loss isn't going to stain your legacy or stain your reputation. It's how you respond to it.
I get what you're saying about that, and
I'm
again,
with you.
I don't want to go back on the subject. It's just you're talking about a couple years where you saw this person,
Yeah,
and now where they're at, the trajectory was not the same.
I think the
Was
biggest
what we
thing with
saw.
Anthony Joshua is nobody believes he'll bounce back. That's the
Yeah,
problem.
He may though because he
He
did
might.
against Ruiz. He might. It's just what you were talking about when we
Yeah.
were having these conversations was this $1 million fight that was happening. The difference with Canelo was like, and you were talking about it earlier with Mayweather. He lost that fight, and it wasn't a bad thing because they both came out looking good. But then Canelo didn't lose after that. Joshua lost. He lost. So that's where I'm saying it's just a fall. But with Canelo, he lost that fight, and then he never lost again. And up until this point,
until recently,
Hey,
and
man, what's RTD mean?
retired.
Oh,
But yeah,
that makes sense.
to with Anthony Joshua, like you're saying with Floyd and Canelo, neither one of them, Canelo didn't look bad after that fight, right? Because he's fighting Floyd and everything, and like Jose said, it's one of those dare to be great situations. Canelo moved up to fight Bivol, a much bigger guy, a stronger guy. He got beat bad, but you went outside of your comfort zone, and I think
a natural light heavyweight,
and I think that's kind of what Joshua did as well. I mean, obviously he's the bigger guy in that scenario, but I mean, we're talking about a supremely skilled fighter in Usyk, and in a fight that he did not have to take. He could have just sat back and waited for Fury. And I mean, a lot of people would say he probably should have done that, but he, like you said, he wanted to go after that legacy fight. We saw it in UFC as well with Adesanya when he moved up and he fought Blachowicz. It's a situation where he said, I think I'm the best, period. So I'm going to move up and I'm going to try and prove it. And and he didn't. He won that fight, but whatever. He lost the decision. He absolutely won that fight.
He did not.
Adesanya won that.
He absolutely won that fight because why? Because
rounds,
the UFC gives way more credit to ground control than they do to standing up. Because
10-7 round, he got that's ridiculous.
But
he got 10-7. I don't think he got 10-7.
He whooped up on
Blachowicz got 10-7 round in that.
Oh yeah, that's ridiculous. That's
not.
So okay, all right. We'll discuss that more on another one.
Yeah, guys, don't disenchant Smikey. Come on, guys. Let's start stick boxing.
Hey, I'm catching up. Don't worry.
But yeah, so that's kind of the way I'm looking at Canelo right now. Previously he was my number one, but obviously with the loss, moving down a few spots and pending what happens in I mean, he's taking the Triple G fight first and then supposedly going back up to fight Bivol. So we'll see what happens. I expect him to dust off Triple G without too much issue.
Dude, I love when Canelo Alvarez drops the PR act sometimes. You get gold from this man. Like, they interviewed him about Triple G. He's like, you know what, Triple G? You know what? He lies to everybody. He lies to all of you. You think he's a good person. He isn't a good person. He's an a-hole. And you're like, whoa.
I don't know who thought he was a good person. I think he's just he's a person who likes to box. I never got an impression that he was a good person.
Nah, dude, Canelo flipped out last night. Did he but he didn't flip out, but he was getting angrier. He's like, y'all, you're being lied to. But I agree with you, Brodny. I agree with you. Here's the thing with completely wrong strategy. He tried to knock out Bivol. Because here's the thing, he thought Bivol was Sergey Kovalev.
Mm-hmm.
No. Here's the thing. Bivol is a natural light heavyweight. Kovalev had to kill himself to become light heavyweight because Kovalev didn't want to fight at his natural weight class, which was a class above him. I don't know what's above light heavyweight. Is it cruiserweight? Is that cruiserweight? He didn't want to fight cruiserweights. He was like, I don't want to fight Oleksandr Usyk. Forget that. You know what I mean? So he was like, I'll fight Andre Ward and these guys, and I'll try to kill myself to get to 175. I'll kill myself. And then Canelo was like, oh, I'll go up to 175 and beat up a shrunken down Kovalev, and he knocked him out. I watched that fight. It was the fight where they had to wait an hour to get to the fight because the UFC also had an event, It was crazy.
And so Kovalev was done by that point anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. He was like, what, 36, almost 40?
He was
30,
and he had just kind of quit. He wasn't really training hard.
Yeah.
He
He got his good
done.
paycheck. He
Yeah.
got a good paycheck from fighting Canelo, and then Bivol was like, I'm gonna whoop you, I'm gonna beat you up, and hubris. Hubris, basically. It's like, oh, who the hell is Dimitri Bivol? Like, whatever. I'll just knock him out. And then he fights him. He's like, oh, whoa, this is a fight. And then he's like he didn't adjust because he was like, he still thought like, oh, I'm Canelo Alvarez. I'll knock him out. But like now he has to be like, oh, I can't just knock out Dimitri Bivol. I gotta box this guy. And like when you guys live streamed that night, the first thing that came out of you guys, all three of you guys' mouth, why did he try to knock him out? He should have outboxed him. He's a better boxer. Like you guys said it, and I'm completely with you. You know, you negate people's power if you outbox them. You know, you slip, you jab, you slide in a hook once or twice, probably throwing a little uppercut. You do some body work, you win the fight. He was like, I'm just gonna knock him out, and it didn't work because one, true light heavyweight, so he could take the punishment. And you know what? You need, but I don't fault him for being great. Like y'all said, he wanted to be great. He wanted another belt. So I only knocked him down to 2. He's 2 for me. He came down 1. Like I'm not gonna punish someone for like saying I'm going to go for greatness. You know what I mean? No one should be punished for wanting to be great and going after greatness. You lose the fight, you lose the fight. Did he lose the fight convincingly? Nah, he lost the fight, but it wasn't like he got dominated. You know what I mean? He won a couple rounds here and there. But yeah, like you're gonna take out Gennady and then
he about to put Gennady in the ground. I think he's about to take his frustration from this fight and the abuse he took from the media out on Gennady. Like I think he's about to put him away. Like bad. Yeah. I really do.
And the way people just throw these fighters after a loss to the trash bin is just like horrendous. Like even Canelo Alvarez got the treatment. Like I get throwing Cambosos to the trash bin here and there. If
why is that okay?
No, it's not okay. It's not okay. But I kind of understand it a little. But like even Canelo Alvarez, like come on, Brian. Let's be real. They're different. They're different fighters. Like it's Cambosos, it's Canelo. Like give the man a little bit of benefit of the doubt.
All right, sure. Go ahead, Shug. Let's get Shug.
Had 3 battles, I'm just saying.
Oh no, I mean I had him at 3. The loss did knock him down for me, but I think Fares is right. Like you're looking at a guy that's 57-1-2. Like and he lost, and people like people. Oh yeah, 2. Well, no, at the time he was 57-1-2. Yeah. He lost, and people like just trashed him. People, don't ever put him in Floyd's, don't ever mention him with Floyd, and I'm thinking to myself, he's still a champion. He just went up in weight and lost to a light heavyweight. Like that happens. If it had happened to Floyd, we would be saying the same thing. Oh, he went up to try to be great. The difference is Floyd, he dominated those fights and he won those fights. So, Canelo just, you're right. He went in with the wrong strategy. Let's see what happens. Now he's going to fight Triple G again. I think he's going to put a really hurting on Triple G because I really believe Canelo's pissed that he lost this other fight. I think he's about to take it on Triple G, and then if he goes back after this guy, you know what? I respect that because he's like, you know what? You ain't gonna do what you did to me. And if he could beat him, I'll box him like Fares says, and beat him and beat him up. They may have a third fight. If not, they may not.
Like the Ring King said, by the way, that
it's gonna do a. I believe Alvarez more in the second fight. I think he's going to learn from his mistakes, and he needs to. He's only lost 2 fights. Okay, he lost to the greatest ever, and he's lost to this guy who was in a higher weight class. So it's not like what
that was
he said
amazing.
It. He said it.
Amazing.
He said it.
If you don't know, at the beginning of our top 25 video, Shug would have told you that Floyd Mayweather wasn't in the top 100. And now he would say he's the GOAT.
Amen. And I quote, Brodny, and I quote, you guys, I look at Floyd Mayweather the way y'all look at these old fighters. That's what he said.
Jose had me reassessing things after we had a talk.
He basically said, when I look at Floyd, I see Eddie Pip. That's what he said.
Willie Pep.
Sorry.
Willie Pep.
Mikey, what you got, Mikey?
Canelo. So I had Canelo at 6 on my list, right?
Whoa.
It's not. I mean, I had him at 6, right? In response to a lot of people that was dropping him lower than that. Some people saying he should come off. I don't think he should come off the list, and I think we made that clear after that fight when we streamed that he shouldn't come off the list. I do think that while he did catch some flack for the loss, I do think it was one of those. It was one of those L's that a great fighter took where you was kind of like, all right, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't think. I'll say this: I don't think the boxing purists or the legit boxing fans took anything away from Canelo with that. Now, if he would have lost to, let's say, a Charlo, or if Caleb Plant would have won that fight, right? I think now that's a fight that you look at when you're saying, all right, Canelo might have to drop, right? He lost to somebody that he should have beat. So while I don't think he should drop off the list, I do think he should move down some, and I do think the people above him had better showings in their last fight, and I just think it's only right that just because he did take an L, that he should drop down some. So I had him at 6.
All right. So if you think 6 was shocking, I had him 10th on my list.
Oh my Jesus!
Now, let me say this. Let me say this.
Buck nasty now, Fares.
No, but hold on. But let me explain. Let me explain.
Still you.
Let me explain.
God damn it, Fares.
I think he's much better than the 10th ranking, right? But this is our first pound for pound list. We're going to do this periodically, right? So we're ranking these fighters in the moment, right? We all agree on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
These other fighters that are on the list are, I mean, they're on fire, right? They're on fire, and they're showing they're putting on master classes. They put on great performances. So I just didn't think it was right to rank him above some of these guys that are really dominating right now. And I had Dimitri Bivol on my list as well, lower. And when we talked about it after the fight, yes, I think he's a better fighter than Bivol, but coming off a fight where he didn't just it wasn't that he overpowered you. He was just a bigger fighter. He outboxed you. So that was my problem. And even going into that fight, the previous fights that he had before that, Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, before he knocked him out, and he ended up eventually knocking him out, they were outboxing Canelo, right? That was my issue. I saw these issues with Canelo. Those going into those fights is that, okay, you're obviously powerful and you want to show that you're a powerful fighter. But I think Canelo, the last couple of years, got away from the boxing part of it, right? Mm-hmm. There was a point where after he lost to Floyd, he implemented more of that boxing style, and he was just unstoppable, it seemed like, right? Like there's nothing you could do with him. That second Triple G fight, he just looked even better. And then he got stronger, and he's knocking people out. And I think he just became more flat-footed. And that caught up with him when he went up in weight, right? Like, yes, he fought Kovalev. Kovalev gave him some false confidence, I think, right? Because he put Kovalev away. And he went to Dimitri Bivol fight, a guy who was naturally bigger than him. And he thought he can just go in there and wear him down. And that was never going to happen. And Bivol could, and I think if Bivol decided to stand toe-to-toe with him, he could have put Canelo on his ass, if we're being real about it, right? Canelo was never going to hurt Bivol. Now, had he went in there and lost a fight, but he outboxed him, it's just, hey, Bivol was just better. He cut off the ring, and it was just a hard fight for him. I wouldn't have dropped him as far. But coming off a loss where you got outboxed, I couldn't put you higher than the guy that outboxed you. And I didn't have Bivol high on my list. So that's why he's down to 10.
I would say this, and I hear what you're saying. I mean, obviously Bivol outboxed him. I don't agree with Plant and Billy Joe Saunders, and I think what you're seeing is, and you mentioned it's a stylistic choice. He's like, I'm not trying to outbox you. I know I can knock you out, so I'm just going to wait until I knock you out. And I think that if you look at the early rounds against Bivol, not that he was outboxing Bivol or having a ton of success, but Bivol wasn't landing on Canelo early either. And I think that to me, what that says, if he really came back and said, you know what, yeah, okay, I guess I can't knock this guy out, so I'm going to box. I think that he'll be fine.
I think so too.
But obviously, he didn't do it. So you drop him and everything, and that's fine.
Yeah,
I don't think he got outboxed against Plant and Saunders and those guys. I think he just said, "To hell with that. I don't need the points. I'm going to knock you out sooner."
Yeah, because I think the Billy Joe Saunders fight is that like he kept hitting that uppercut. Like there was times in that fight where it was like he hit like 5-10 straight uppercuts left and right, and he destroyed his eye.
But he did get outboxed in those fights. Like he might have decided, I don't care about those early rounds. I'll get those up because I know I'm gonna put them away. He still got outboxed.
Well, but that's what I mean. I think it's an important distinction. I where like he's not trying to outbox this guy. He's like, because as opposed to, I'm trying, and you're just better than me at this.
He shouldn't make that choice.
But that's what caught up to him. Yeah. But that's what caught up to him in the Bivol fight, right? Because he sacrificed those early rounds and he couldn't put Bivol away. And then we decided
y'all out here acting like he got washed. He only needed one more round.
Well, yeah. The scorecards, yeah, right. But I mean,
I just want to point.
Well, he got washed.
I just want to point out, man. The scorecards really shouldn't be looked at in a Canelo Alvarez fight.
You know what though? You know what? I'm gonna push back on this.
How you gonna say he beat Floyd? Get out of here.
I said this to Jose as well. I don't think that there was any corruption going on in that Bivol and Canelo fight. Like we gotta understand that the judges are ringside. They don't have as good a view of the fight as we do watching on TV.
They got a better view.
They don't have a better view.
His thing, Brodny, you say that.
I haven't even made my point yet.
Okay.
He's throwing a lot of power shots. The crowd's behind him. That affects judges.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to see what lands cleanly, what doesn't. And where I'm going with this is, if you pay off judges, you're not paying for a loss. If you bought judges, you're not buying 115, 113 Bivol.
But you know what? I think the problem with that is he didn't, like, he made it hard on them to buy that. Like,
that's all I'm gonna say with it.
No, it's hard, right? But the money has changed hands at this point, right? So, like,
I mean, I'm saying, like, listen, I'm going to do what your fighter.
Say I won the fight, or I'll break your legs.
Your fighter got to hold up his end of the bargain.
But let me ask you this. Does 115, 113 look much better than 114, 114, or 115, 113 the other way? You come this far, just go the rest of the way.
Yeah, exactly.
You obviously lose. That's bad for business. If he
but his thing too, like,
it obviously wasn't 7-5.
Like, this goes back. The reason why people think this goes back to, because this isn't the first time. Like, it goes back to the Mayweather fight, right, where one of the judges had a draw, and it's just like, well, what you have to explain to me, what rounds did you think he won? Because I don't think he won any of those rounds.
Now he did his job. Like, listen, he got his paycheck.
He did his job.
If I paid you good, hard-earned money to say that Canelo wins this fight, and you come back with a 115, 113 card in favor of Bivol, I need a refund.
Well, I think paying judges.
That's not how bribery works.
Listen. I think paying judges.
Here's my receipt.
Look, paying judges is a lot like lobbying, right? Where you lobby, we had these lobbying groups for politicians. Listen, I'm giving a lot of money to you, right? To pass certain laws. Look, there's no promises, right? Like you have heavy influence, but it's no guarantee, right?
Yeah.
Next time you might have to give me a little bit more money to buy more influence. But it's not guaranteed.
That just means you're a bad politician, because you're supposed to have a guy on the payroll, like Luke
politicians
Brodny,
get money from
to go visit these people and make sure things go through. Okay,
but listen, politicians get money from everywhere, right?
All I'm gonna say is this: I don't think it's that way. When Tim Donaghy got his money, the LA Lakers advanced.
Yes,
they did. Did they win that series?
Hell
no, they didn't win that series. But they advanced.
Sometimes you get what you pay for. Sometimes you don't.
But see, the ref.
You know what, Tim Donaghy, honorable bribery, man.
Refs have instant influence on the game. Like, now you paying the judge, and that's the thing with boxing. It's one of those things, right, where you got to hold up on your end of the bargain too, or else
he did. He was standing up at the end of the 12th. That's
I mean, he stood up. He stood up.
Man, his
He
head
was
was bouncing off of Beebles' gloves at one point. It's just like, look, can you put your hands up at least? Like
He was
Jose, that's a boxing strategy. You're blocking with the face.
Listen.
Do you
all
not
gotta
watch
say-
Rocky Balboa? Block with the face.
Yeah, and you know what? You're absolutely right. And Bivol, man, my man won those last 5 rounds, but Canelo got the first 7. Okay? That's what happens if I have a check with Oscar De La Hoya's signature on it. Well, not De La Hoya, but you know.
Not anymore.
My overall point is, I think Canelo's much better than the 10th ranking that I gave him.
Yeah.
But if you know, in the fairness of the pound for pound list currently,
Right now. I
I dropped him to 10. Yeah.
And I do want to point out also that you're saying that you dropped him down because you couldn't put him ahead of Bivol because Bivol outboxed him. You can thank Shug for Bivol not being on the list. Anyway, moving on to number 3, we've got in the rest of the list all undefeated fighters. This guy is 23-0 with 20 KOs. He is the WBA, WBC, and IBF bantamweight champion. Not a game show, Fares.
I didn't say his name.
All right. Like you're all excited, like you got the answer right. You didn't. All right, it's Naoya, the monster Inoue.
Yes.
And I think it's really hard. I mean, look, the smaller guys, people don't care about as much. People don't watch them as much. There's not as much profile there. But coming off of what he did to Nonito in their rematch, I mean, you couldn't drop him too much lower than this.
Dude.
Yeah. He was already. Go ahead, Fred. You go.
No. Okay, like here's the thing. I don't know who the hell Nonito Inoue was. No, not Nonito Inoue.
Nonito Donaire.
No.
You mixed two fighters.
I'm talking about Monster.
Naoya
Inoue. So because like he was with the Zone early on, right? And then Bob Arum took him and signed him, and he brought him to America. And I think the first American fight was Jason Maloney. That's the fight. And he knocked out Maloney the same way he knocked out Nonito. He faked the jab, right? And he dropped Maloney's hand, and he came straight with his straight right, and he took out Maloney like that. I was like, this dude's wild. So then I proceeded to watch his fights, the fights that I missed. The entire first fight with Nonito is free on YouTube. It's on the DAZN YouTube channel. You can watch it, all 12 rounds, everything, his war with him, and I'm like, oh snap, crackle pop. And then I watched him fight Das Mirnis, and it was like a different type of strategy with him and Maloney. He headhunted Maloney. He kept going after Maloney's head very strategically. With Michael, took his body out, took his body from right underneath him. Liver shots, body shots the entire time. It showed like how a multi-lever striker he is. Because some people can just be headhunters. Like, I need to knock you out, hitting you in your head. Naoya, monster. All right.
The most accurate nickname on this list, mind you.
It's like literally he and then with like when he was fighting Nonito, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a solid, probably 8 rounds. He's gonna struggle. 8 rounds, round and a half. I'm already done watching the fight. I'm like, I carved out a solid 2 hours to watch this fight.
To me, that was scary. That was scary because the first fight,
wow.
I mean, Nonito broke his eye socket, right?
Yeah,
like it was. Did. I mean, that was a tough fight, and Nonito was on a winning streak. He looked like, okay, he ain't done. Like, and Nonito is going to be a future Hall of Famer, right? He's a future Hall of Famer. I thought this was going to be another battle, and he just washed him. He completely just dominated the fight. He said it's going to be a short night. Thanks for coming. And nice night. It just shows you how much he's grown since that last fight. So yeah, no, he deserves where he belongs on this list.
Also, too, man, with him, man, it was like, I'll say this, man, Nonito should have made that fight with John Rell Casimero, because if he thought this was a good backup, then you need new management, brother.
Well, again, Nonito.
You know what, man, you need to fire your wife. I'm sorry.
No, Nonito, again, a Hall of Famer, and he wants to fight the best of the best. He fought a good fight against him the last time.
Yeah.
He's not fighting much longer. So
he's done.
He's gonna go out. He's the type of fighter. He's gonna go out in the Shield. So I respect it.
Yeah. But I am sad that we didn't get the Filipino super fight. I am kind of mad about that.
With who?
John Rail Casimero.
Yeah. Oh, you're saying.
No, so they
the
agreed
monster.
to fight each other. No,
I thought you were talking about
Nonito and him agreed to fight each other in the Philippines.
Yeah.
They were gonna fight, and then apparently, so this is what was reported, that contracts broke because Nonito accused John Rail of being extremely disrespectful, and he does not like him because I will not do business with you because you are a person. He called him a scumbag basically because I believe Casimero like insulted his wife or something, and he's like, I'll like, I won't do business with you. So like, I'll take my business elsewhere. So I'm like, why don't you take your business, beat him up, and have double dip? But like, I'm kind of sad. It would probably been the biggest fight in Filipino history since Floyd Pacquiao.
Yeah. All right.
But now
any thoughts?
Tired.
No, I'm just glad to see another ethnicity in the top 10. That's dope. No, I mean, I'm serious. When you, especially at this weight class.
Other than your
the Japanese fighters kind of dominate these real life.
Yeah. But you never hear about them, or you never see them in the top 10.
That's because they're boxing at 3:00 in the morning. Like, come on, bro. Like,
his brother was on the card too and had a nice win.
Yeah.
So to see this is kind of dope because I want to see where he goes from here. What's going to be in his way?
Has there been a Japanese fighter of this like star? Like he's a star, not a superstar, but he's a star. Like people know who Monster Inoue is. Like, has there ever been in the history of boxing like someone from from Japan or
the only
China?
the only person I could think of is who Boom Boom Mancini fought, and he was even unknown, but he became popular after because of dying in the ring, dying from the fight. Other than that, I don't.
Certainly not the way that Fares was going.
No, but I'm saying, but as a known fighter, I've never heard of, of other than the Filipino fighters. I've never really heard of any traditional Asian fighter other than him. Dooku Kim.
Ryoto Murata, he's fairly well known, but not to the level of Inoue, obviously. But
that's a great question, Jay.
I can't think of any others.
Was my question, but sure.
Okay, calm it down.
Oh, my bad, Fares. Yeah.
Once again, not a competition.
I'm surprised he hasn't. I'm surprised he hasn't asked you to move him above me. I'm just saying.
Mike, not be higher on this list. I was like.
So, I had Inoue at 4. All right.
You had him at 3.
I had. I think ESPN. He came this list, this month's list, or how often they do it. I'm not sure, but he's was 2. He was 2 on their list.
Makes sense.
So for me, right, I had Haney ahead of him, just because I think, Haney being undisputed, the same reasons I gave for why I had Haney on the list in the first place. Inoue is a beast, and listen, that's a fight. 7:00 in the morning, 8:00, whatever it was. I watched it. Ring Kings watched that fight. The guys got up, we watched it. Some of us at work and snuck off and watched it. And it was quick enough, for you to get it. It just seemed like you went on a 15-minute break, but
literally, Mike, it was a lunch break, bro.
Yeah,
it was a lunch break.
It was literally like a lunch break.
I'm taking lunch. I'll be right back. He's gonna be gone for 2 hours. Wait, Mike, you back? What happened?
It was that type of fight. But listen, the dude is supremely skilled, right? Mm-hmm. Supremely skilled. He's a powerful. He's a beast, right? Yeah. I just don't think that he's. I think he is a superstar in the making, but I think in order to be that, he has to make his mark in the U.S. and I say that just because just to put him on more of a main stage, that type of. He needs that stage. That he needs to. If he makes his name here, then
that's what Anthony Joshua thought too.
Yeah, no, he had a couple. No, here's the thing. He had a couple fights in the U.S. So like he fought in Carson in 2017, and then he fought, and then he fought back to back, like two of the bigger fights, you know, outside of the first Nonito fight against Maloney and Das Marinas. He fought in Vegas back to back fights, but then like COVID hit, and he was back in Japan when COVID hit, and Japan was really hit hard, like they were hit hard, and he couldn't leave. So I think he's like, you know, I'm just not gonna leave Japan anymore.
Yeah, I mean. And I think, and I get it, you know. I just think he needs if he can get a, you know, a big name, a big to solid name, have a dominating show here.
John Rell Casamoros. He needs a fight the guy.
And I mean, to become undisputed, I mean that they're looking like that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you know, I think for the casual fan to know. For more casual fans to know who he is, he's got to get his feet entrenched here in the U.S. and
he needs a big event.
He needs that. You know, like, I mean, honestly, it was a Tuesday morning, right? Like, again, we're boxing purists, so we watched it. But you know, the casual fan is really who sells these things, and nobody was up watching that fight outside of, you know,
not on a Tuesday.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
We might go to the club on a Tuesday, but not
right. So, you know, if he can, you know, they can get him fighting on a main event, you know, 10 p.m. on a Saturday night, you know, he'll catch more eyes and more people will see who he is. But just from that, you know, I had him a little lower than Haney, but I think he's here to come. Even though I think my man Stephen Fulton can give him a run. I think that's a fight.
Okay, Mike, what division is he in? Is that super bantamweight? What is that?
Fulton fights at 126.
What is that? Junior featherweight?
Yeah.
And Inoue fights at, what does Inoue fight at?
118.
He's at bantam.
Yeah. So they're
Fulton's at junior featherweights at 122.
Yeah, 122. Right.
Oh, so they're only 4 pounds apart.
Yeah.
No, his fight can
happen.
The fight can happen at 120.
He can fight two people. There's two people.
If you're 118, you can put on 4 pounds.
It's talk of him moving up anyway.
Yeah. He can fight John Rell. Move up. Yeah, he can fight John Rell, and he can fight Stephen Fulton. He can fight Gary Russell if he wants to.
The thing with it is Fulton's you gotta get, look, it's timing, right? Like, you have to build up a name for yourself as well. Like, if you fight Stephen Fulton now, then it's just another guy, right? Stephen Fulton is just getting started. Fulton's got to kind of build up a little bit of hype as well, and then you can make that a big fight, and then the winner of that fight, they catapult themselves a little bit, right? It's timing. Timing is everything for these things.
Yeah, and Fulton could fight Murajan Hamadilov. You can fight that guy if you wanted to.
I think he's fighting tonight. I think that guy's fighting tonight, maybe.
Yes, I believe so.
Murajan.
They both have time to become undisputed in their division.
Yeah.
And once they do that, Fulton becomes undisputed, you know, and then just in time, Inoue moves up, and that's, hey, now you fight for an undisputed crown at 122, and I think it'll be, you know, it'll be a big enough fight for the both of them that could catapult both of them probably, you know. It'll definitely catapult Fulton into pound for pound. I think I even seen him on some of these lists too, but I guess that's the good thing about it. The gift and the curse of these lists is, you know, it's everybody's opinion that you could have who you want, but I think that's a fight that I'm personally looking forward to, and hopefully it happens eventually.
All right. Yep. All right. Did everybody go? Anybody need to get some thoughts in on this? All right.
So we're at the last two, so we'll just do these at the same time.
Okay.
Because they're basically connected. They're connected.
I'm sure everybody knows who they are. Yeah.
Yeah.
At number 2, 38-0, 29 knockouts. We got Terrence Bud Crawford, and number 1 on the Ring Kings podcast inaugural pound for pound list is Errol the Truth Spence, coming in at 28-0 and 22 knockouts. Yeah, that's why I said it.
I feel like that nickname is overused. Yes, I feel like that nickname's overused. He needs to go with something else.
It's like sugar. It's like sugar. Like, come on.
I thought Man
Something-
Down was
something.
his nickname.
No.
No, he got so
That's stupider.
he also calls himself
It's
the
original.
Big Fish.
That's bad too.
So
So
Yeah,
the truth it is.
Yeah.
The truth it is.
Yo, oh my God, these nicknames are atrocious.
he said he's the Big Fish. You know, you want to fight me? I'm the bitch.
It's,
I'm the Big Fish.
they're all better than Cool Boy Steph. So you got these two guys.
I like Cool Boy. I like Cool Boy.
I like Cool Boy stuff.
And 1 and 2, they're in talks right now. I don't think they
That
haven't
game's pretty
actually. They don't actually have a date yet for this fight, but everybody's expecting this fight later this year. So that's basically going to settle, who is the number one in boxing, essentially. Certainly at welterweight, but in boxing.
Yeah.
Errol Spence right now has the WBA, WBC, and IBF. Crawford has the WBO. For me, it was Errol Spence has just done more. He has a better resume. He's been more active. He fought Mikey Garcia, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter, Yordenis Ugas. And, Bud Crawford, he has some names on his list. He beat Sean Porter as well. He beat Kell Brook, Amir Khan, Jose Benavides Jr. But, it's they're, I think, slightly worse fights and spread out over a longer period. And so it really does come down to that for me. And I just think that Spence is a better fighter than Crawford. I think he's going to win that fight. So I had him at number 1. Now, I do want to, I'm sorry, before I throw it over to you there, I do want to point out that Errol Spence was almost the unanimous number 1 for the Ring Kings podcast. And I'll let that person make their case when they come up.
Yeah, no. Yeah, he was my number 1. And, look, for Crawford, I think these two are they have the boxing community the most divided, right? Like
literally, dude, it's split down the middle.
Yeah,
it's like either you can't like I don't mean. Sorry, I was like, you continue. I don't mean.
No. What you about to say is you can't like both.
No,
but
you can't. You like
over here we have adult conversations. We're grown up, so we like both of them, right?
Exactly.
But what it came down to, was the resume, and honestly, like you can't fault. But Crawford is, this is what I was saying before about Bob Arum. Bob Arum, I think, held him back. He wasn't able to make those fights for Bud Crawford to his detriment. But you gotta go off of what you have on your resume. And Errol Spence was able to make the bigger fights, so Errol Spence gets put up there. But yes, when those two eventually fight, I do think Errol Spence is the better fighter. But they're so close to each other. Like, it wouldn't shock me if Bud Crawford won, right there. That's why he's number 2 on this list. But I am, if I'm picking who would win that fight, I would pick Errol Spence. Now, he's had more. He's had bigger name fighters. He's had the opportunity to take those fights, whereas Bud Crawford hasn't been able to do it. So Crawford has a chance to show something that he wasn't able to show previously. So that's why that's going to be a huge fight when it happens.
Massive. It's going to be massive.
Yeah. Mikey, your thoughts?
I had Spence at 1. ESPN has Spence at 3, Crawford at 1, Inoue at 2, of course. Man, I'm surprised. I'm kind of surprised at how ESPN kind of keeps Crawford where he is, even with the bad blood between him and
it would be too obvious, I think, right? I think it'd be too obvious that he just dropped all of a sudden when they had him number 1 forever.
Yeah,
right.
I think it's obvious how they do it. I mean, it's still like how they kind of keep Spence
if he loses
out of the top 2.
If he loses to Spence, he's being dropped off of the list completely. Like, watch it. Like, watch how he just drops to 8th.
Once he signs with PBC. That's what it's gonna be. They're gonna be.
PBC is smart, bro. Al Haymon was like, I'm gonna sign up all the welterweights, all of them. He signed them all, and he just just told them to fight each other. Like, that's what he basically said, which is smart business, Yeah.
But I mean, I listen. I think Spence. I think Spence is the better fighter. I like Crawford. Like you said, Jose, we have adult conversations here. We can like both. I like Crawford. But I think Spence is just the better fighter. I think Spence, again, resume speaks. And what really sticks out for me with Spence is this dude flipped his car 18 times and came back and fought. It wasn't no tune-up fights. He came back and his first fight back, he came back and fought a solid fighter. All right. He detaches his retina. I don't need a tune-up. He comes back and fights the guy. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So at that, well, you know, one of the top guys in the division at that time. I respect that. Not saying Crawford takes tune-up fights, because he could very well be like, hey, before I get in there with Spence, I want a tune-up fight. He's on record and saying, I don't want no tune-up. I want to go right to that. I respect that. But I don't know. That carries some weight for me with Spence. You know, I just think that shows just how good this guy is. You know what I mean? Coming off of those major layoffs, coming off of those major injuries. I mean, one could have killed him. You know what I mean? Like, so that puts him at one for me, man. That puts him at one. I hope this fight, how we can get it announced sooner than later, so that it can happen this year.
I just want to add one thing to what you said. You mentioned that detached retina. That detached retina is what keeps Errol Spence from being hands down number one pound for pound.
Yeah.
Because the person he was supposed to fight was Manny Pacquiao instead of Dennis Ugas, right? Dennis Ugas went on to beat Manny Pacquiao, and he ended up being Dennis Ugas. Had he ended up beating Manny Pacquiao, like you wouldn't be able to deny him at number one ranking. So, all right. So Mikey or Fares or Shug.
Well, here's the thing. Like I see where you're coming from, Jose, but I still would say he's pound for pound the best, because he beat the guy who beat Manny Pacquiao. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I mean we have a number one. I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
I think there wouldn't be an argument to make if he had.
No, I think
Manny
it's because when you say the name Manny Pacquiao, they still think, oh, Manny Pacquiao, and they think of all that, but they don't think of Manny Pacquiao in the moment. Manny Pacquiao in the moment, you know, he's Manny Pacquiao, but like Dennis Ugas isn't like compared to Manny Pacquiao, like he beat his ass, like Ugas beat him up, like he beat him up.
A good fighter, yeah.
Like,
Manny's a good fighter, but he's not the legendary fighter that he was.
Yeah, exactly. So like I know where you're coming from, but like I agree with you, but like I still would still like, yeah, he's number one for me, and I'm with y'all. Here's the thing. I love them both. I just think I just like Bud Crawford a little bit more, because, you know, me, like when I watch Bud, it just I don't know, man. It's like I think the fights I've watched him, it's just feel like he's so long and effortless, and he's just smooth, and like every time he punches somebody, it just looks like they just been hit by a brick. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, man. It's just like I like both, man. It's just when I watch Bud, it's like I so what I did is where I compared the people that fought together. Like I compared them to Porter and Kell Brook. Those are their two common opponents. Kell Brook was let me see. Kell Brook lost to Spence in the 11th. So like, okay, so like he beat them in the 11th. So Bud should beat him, because, you know, it's a couple years down the road. So like if Bud is trying to show that he's better than Errol Spence, he should beat Kell Brook around the 5th or 6th round. He's an older Kell Brook. He has wars behind him. He should beat him quickly. And then he takes him out in 3 rounds, and I'm like, huh, sweet baby Jesus. Okay. Like he beat my own expectations, because we gotta like the common opponent, you know, you compare them where they beat them and add a couple, like, because like he beat Kell Brook, let me see, in 2017, right? Spence did, and then Crawford beat Kell Brook in, man, I'm talking about Kell Brook more than anything. Jesus Christ, he beat Kell Brook in 2020, so it's 3 years. So the guy expected Bud to take him out quickly. It's a 3-year-old. It's 3 more years older of Kell Brook. He beat Kell Brook in the 11th, Spence, so he should beat Kell Brook in the 5th. Takes out Kell Brook in the 4th. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, Bud's a complete fighter, man. Like,
yeah, exactly. Okay, the way he adjusted against Jose Benavidez Jr., he realized, okay, he's just as long as me. Okay, I get you. He can't block my body jab. Like the entire fight, he kept hitting him with the body jab, and he knew he had a messed up knee, like, you know, kind of messed up and all, but like he took out his legs. He's like, his knee won't hold up if I take out his base, and he took out his base, took him out in the 12th. It was towards the end, because he was very strategic with it. Like, here's the thing: people just think Crawford's like, he gonna come in there, knock him out, and leave. Against Jose, he was like, he's just as long as me. He's actually taller than me. Like Jose was taller than him. So okay, so I gotta like piece him up. And he pieced him up, And then at the 12th, he's like, oh, I gotta take him out. And then he takes him out in the 12th with like 18 seconds left. I think 18 seconds left. It ends the fight emphatically. Like it wasn't like Jose just gave up, because the Benavidez boys don't give up. They don't give up. David don't give up. He just takes steroids.
Wow.
What?
That's
What? Oh, so we're not gonna talk about his failed drug test? Okay, fine, whatever. So he's a phenomenal counter puncher. They both got dogs in them. You know what I mean? They're both like, it's like you can't say one's tougher than the other or one's meaner than the other, because I think both are extremely mean. And like the way Errol Spence just bit down on his mouthpiece, it was like, you know what, Sean, I like you. You seem like a cool guy, but I'm gonna take you the hell out. I'm gonna take, and then he bit it down. He got hit by Porter a couple times hard. Porter was still getting some good licks, but then Spence was like, you know what, I'm done playing, and he was like, I'm out. It's time to go home. And you know what? Don't even get me started on Danny Garcia. Don't even get me started. He made Danny Garcia look like Jose. Jose. I think me and Jose and Brodny, I think we all had a conversation one day about corners and how a corner coaches a player. When they would cut to Danny Garcia's corner, and his dad would be like, "Can you just punch him? Just try to punch him. Just try to punch him." And Danny Garcia's like, "What's that?"
He's like, "Yeah, I tried that.
What else you got? What do you want me to do?" Because Spence just outclassed him, and I think if Spence okay, I'm not trying to give an excuse. Butt's 34, Spence is 28. You know what I mean? I always thought Spence was going to try to age out Crawford.
Spence is 31.
Yeah, no,
Spence is 31?
Yeah, he's over 30.
Dude, that boy that mother love looks like he's 28, 26. That's a young looking brother. Oh my God. Okay.
They just gave him an arbitrary number.
Oh, what? No, he looks hella young. Bro,
he's 32. Actually.
Okay, all right, then, okay. All right, throw age out the window then. If Crawford loses to Spence, he lost to Spence. And you know what? I don't like age. You know what? In the great words of Aaliyah, age ain't nothing but a number. You know what I mean? And so oh wow, snap. Okay, all right. That was my only gripe with the fight, is that they were too spaced out in age, but they're only 2 years apart. So now it's gonna be a good fight. I'm still gonna go with Crawford because of his length, and I think the man's just rangy. Also, too, have we seen Crawford? No, have we seen Spence fight orthodox and southpaw?
I'm sure you have.
Has he done that?
If you look through the list, you probably have.
Yeah, probably. But I've seen Crawford do that multiple times in a fight and looked very good both sides. I think that's the X factor, as well as his ranginess, his length, is kind of like the way he
yeah.
That's why I'm gonna go with Crawford. You know what I mean? And the reason, I'm gonna be honest with you, Crawford on my list, he wasn't that high. He wasn't. He was. Let me see. He was 6th. Wow. Because of the year he just sat and did nothing. You know what I mean? And 3. Yeah, that's the thing. Like me, I like to reward activity. Like we said with with Canelo, where you dropped it down to 10th because the other guys have just they're on fire in more fights. When you sit for a year and the people I put above you have just had recent fights, you drop to 6. It is what it's like. Is he the 6th best fighter in the world? No. But on this list, due to the inactivity and the gripe with Bob Arum and disagreeing on contract and yo, you screwed me over, you're not that marketable, all that jazz made him sit out. That's why he fell. But he's still top 2. You know what I mean? I just in the moment, I think there's somebody on this list that didn't even make the list on my list.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? But yeah,
we'll get to that in a second.
What are your thoughts on Errol and Bud?
Well, first off, Ring Kings likes to call out people for the list. I didn't
call it. Nobody called anybody out.
Yes, you did. We'll go back and we'll watch.
Shug was the one who didn't put him on.
Look at who just called himself out. Look at that.
Okay,
I don't appreciate even realize it.
Oh,
yeah, okay. I don't appreciate it, but no, I think look at my biggest thing, and this is a fault of mine. No, I had Crawford at number 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had Earl Spence at number 6.
Okay.
Whoa. So But the biggest thing for me, and it's a fault of mine, and it's arguments that I've had with Brodny on multiple sports, is record. I appreciate record. So to me, Errol Spence is 28-0. Crawford is, I believe, 38-0, if I'm getting correctly.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes, 38-0.
Yeah.
I just think 10 more. If it was a few fights in between, maybe it would be different. But 10 whole fights. And I understand, Jose, you were talking about the competition, you know, whereas Spence has probably had the better fighters compared to Crawford. But to me, when you're 38-0, you know, and you beat you're beating everybody up, and you were previously the number 2 pound for pound fighter, you're going to move up to number 1 when the number 1 loses their fight, and that's the only thing. Now you're right. This is not only going to determine the number 1, number 2, or number 1 welterweights, but it's also going to determine the number 1 pound for pound fighter, which I am excited about. That's exciting when things like this is what I love about it. When this happens in boxing, it's one of the best things to do is to watch who's going to be the number 1, not only the number 1 in our division, but the number 1 overall. That's exciting. So I will watch this fight. I will be invested in the fight, and I will be rooting for Terrence Crawford, because I think, like Fares said, he has the length. I think, and he has something to prove.
Here's the thing, Shug. That's the thing, right? He looks longer than Errol Spence, right? He looks longer. I just realized this when I looked it up. It's only 2 inches.
Yeah, and
it's 74 to 72.
Hey, let me tell you something. Don't do
it, Don't do it, Sugar. This is not that show. This is not the OT.
But you know what though? I love this though. I love that we're kind of split on who the better boxer is, right? Because you know, look, people that watch this, we're gonna get it. Like we get it in the comments, right? But you're gonna have some people that
I'm about to get so many people like, why the hell is this mother lover? He don't know nothing.
But you know what's funny? You don't. But here's what's funny, man. We did a video on Spence and Jaron Ennis, right? On whether or not Jaron Ennis should fight Spence next, or
talk about horrible nicknames.
And
Boots.
but look,
Boots.
But we'll get more into that. But the comments, the comments were so divided. Like you had some comments saying that you know, we're pro Spence, we're pro Boots, right? And it was just like all we did was just kind of just break it down and look at it, you know. But it's gonna be the same thing with this. You're gonna have people that are like, oh, you guys are caping for Spence, or you guys are caping for Bud, and we like both fighters. We're just, you know, we can appreciate both fighters, and we're giving you our opinions. We don't have any stake in this one way or another, right? Whoever wins, we're gonna appreciate them for what they've done.
Amen.
Yeah,
but the thing is,
my favorite moment
to having a stake.
But here's the thing, though. But here's the thing, though, that I loved about doing this, especially like when we did the top 25 boxers all time. I went back and watched a lot of those fights. What's got me excited now about this is I'm actually now I want to see some of these fights. I want to see what happens with Joshua and Usyk. Sorry, my apologies. With Usyk, I want to see now what happens with Alvarez. I want to see what happens with the bantamweight. I want to see what happens, you know, with this young Shakur Stevenson. I want to see what happens with you know, I want to see, and I'm invested because I want to see what they do. I want to see if Lomachenko can actually win a damn belt. You know, I want to see if Haney is as good as Mike is saying. You know, so I'm invested now more than I have been in boxing. So yeah, I
think so too, man. Like, because with me, like, it's like I grew up like with boxing, right? And you know, being a Muslim man, there was one name thrown at me on a daily basis: Muhammad Ali, Muhammad Ali, Muhammad Ali, Muhammad Ali. And you know what? You know, you're a kid. You just absorb what is given to you. Am I a boxing expert? Absolutely not. It's very.
Oh, he froze up. He froze up. All right, so
my list.
He's back.
You
froze up for a minute.
Oh man, y'all missed my anecdote about being a Muslim and Muhammad Ali.
No, we got that part.
That part, and then and then he froze right after that. You're like Muhammad Ali, and YouTube was like, no, shut this down.
Okay, dang, they hit Muhammad Ali against. No, my thing is like I'm just watching the fights. Like I'm a fan. I watch the fights. I'm not. Don't talk to me about like how he threw the jab and nice. Like I saw a jab, he threw it. It looked nice. That's why. That's like don't. I'm not Eddie Reynoso. Like leave me alone. You know what I mean? Shit. Even Eddie Reynoso probably ain't Eddie Reynoso after that fight with Canelo. You know what? I'm just shading everybody. I'm sorry. I don't know, but the thing is, like, I love boxing because like it's so entrenched in society and history, man. Like, why do you think I brought? That's why I think like for weeks I brought up the Kings documentary to the point where Brodny was like, "I'm ready to stab you in the face." You know what I mean? It's like, leave me alone. You thought it, but it's all right. Thank you for the admission. But like, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful science. It's a beautiful art. It's a microcosm of life at the moment. You know what I mean? Like a great boxing fight is known forever. You know what I mean? We're still talking about those fights from the 80s and the 90s and the 70s. Like we're still talking about those because they shook us to our core. You know, they are entrenched in us. You know what I mean? Like ESPN Classics, where they would re-air boxing fights. Like, you know, I used to get that channel. Like ESPN gave us that channel for like free for like a month, and that's the only thing I watched. And I would watch old boxing fights. You know what I mean? Just like old boxing fights, and you're just and like the crowd is roaring. You know, the grainy like Muhammad Ali with the boxing, like you just like it's amazing, it's beautiful, you know what I mean? And having this fight, Crawford Spence, for number one, not in just the division but the sport, like Shug said, it's a callback to like, yo, these two dudes are about to fight. Like Leonard Duran are about to fight for who's number one. I'm not saying they're you know better than them. Like that's you know for people to decide. You know, some people like it's like I have this like, you know, I'm just excited, man. I'm just excited, you know, and it's gonna be a great fight, man. It's gonna be a great fight, man.
It's something that's been a long time coming. People have been wanting to see it for a long time. People have been debating these two fighters for a long time, and now you're fighting to see who's going to be the undisputed champion of the welterweight division, who's going to be the number one on everybody's pound for pound list, because you have to put the winner of this fight at number one after this fight.
But this goes to what Jose was saying with some of the guys that we were talking about. You build them up to where, and you have the one fighter coming who we all see is like, dang, that's a superstar. But you have this other fighter, like maybe he can challenge him. But you build them up because, like you're saying, Brodny, everyone wants this fight. They've been wanting this fight. But now we're going to get it.
Yes.
And they're both at their apex. Yes. So now it's not, oh, he fought him 2 years too late, or he fought him 2 years too. No, we are at the apex. Absolutely. And it's going to be for everything. 34. And that's why I'm saying, that's why
these are the fights that you throw parties for. These are party quality fight, right? Yeah. Everybody wants to be there to see that fight. Mikey's house.
My only gripe. Exactly. That's my only gripe. I can't watch it with y'all.
Now, B, do you have an honorable mentions list?
Not a list, you know. So I guess I shouldn't say surprisingly, but there weren't a lot of other guys who got votes. But we have an others receiving votes.
Now hold on. Okay, now before you name that, right? Like B's he's gonna give you a couple of names that didn't make the list, and I just want everybody to kind of just throw a name out there that they had as an honorable mention, because I had somebody I didn't put on my list, but I definitely want to get this name out there as an honorable mention. All right, but go ahead, B.
Oh yeah, I thought y'all were gonna name your names first.
I want you to. Well, however you want to do. Do you want everybody to kind of give a name and then?
Yeah, go ahead. Who are your honorable mentions, and I'll say who the.
Well, let me start. I want to start with Demetrius Andrade, Boo Boo Andrade. Okay, 31-0.
I forgot that was his nickname.
Yes, Boo Boo Andrade. 31-0. I think he holds one of the titles, WBA. Yeah. I want to say
I forget which one, but he has one.
Middleweight. This man has been. I mean, you talk about chasing for greatness. I mean, he's been trying to fight everybody and anybody, and it's just there's no takers. And this reminds me a lot of when Lance Lewis was coming up. None of the heavyweights wanted to fight Lance Lewis.
Lion.
Yes, and I mean, he's deserving of a fight, and I don't know when it's going to happen. Unfortunately, he's not on the list because he hasn't gotten to fight anybody. But I think he definitely deserves an honorable mention, and I think if he gets to fight some of these guys, he could definitely raise some eyebrows. So Yes, shout out to Demetrius Andres. You didn't make the list, but you know definitely deserve an honorable mention.
I will just say
forgot
this.
about
I
him.
got a
I forgot
message.
about him.
I got a message from Brodny earlier, and I realize now why my list was the way it was and why he was making the comment about it. I don't have honorable mentions because people I put on my list. There's a guy I know who exactly who he's looking at the name. I didn't Tank Davis, Haney. These guys should have all been on the list above some of the guys I put on the list. So my apologies, Brodny, and I understand why you made the damn comment you made to me. Okay? But that number 7 that I sent you should not be on the list. And so
Okay, that's fair.
Was
That's fair.
that-
That's
so
fair.
was that Lomachenko?
no, it's not Lomachenko. I'm probably the only one that put this guy on his list.
Ooh.
So I'm not saying.
You don't want to say it. It's all right. You got to say it. It's fine. It's fine.
I'll say it. It's fine.
I don't want you to say it.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess we won't do the others receiving votes then. All right. So
Nah, man, say it. I don't care. Say it.
He don't want to say it. He don't want to say it.
Well, but see that because I'm interested. I want to know. Maybe we can do it offline. But I wanted to. I wanted to see every. No, I wanted to see. I wanted everybody to read their list off, their individual.
yeah, we can do that afterwards.
We'll do it afterwards. We'll do it afterwards.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll do it afterwards.
Yeah.
All right. You give a name.
For me, I think honestly the honorable mention would be Better BF. And that's just because again he just doesn't have enough. He doesn't have enough fights and didn't have that one moment like Usyk. Usyk only has 19 fights as well, but he has the Anthony Joshua win.
Yes.
Better BF only has, I believe it's 18 now, 18-0 with 18 knockouts, but he doesn't have that signature win. That would maybe bump somebody else off of the list and put him on there. Now, if he's serious about moving up to heavyweight and trying to take on some of those guys, then you can get on the list at that point. But just right now, I mean, again, supremely talented, great entertainer, which even some of the most talented fighters aren't, but just not enough in the resume to get onto the pound for pound list right now.
Hey, man,
I did have Jake Paul. I did have Jake Paul on the list.
Are you serious? What?
He's undefeated, Ferris.
Yeah,
No.
man. What?
Absolutely not. Hey, man.
And he's about to be the Fury.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Absolutely not. He beat boxers. He beat MMA fighters. He beat basketball players.
He beat a world champion.
He beat Nate Robinson. He beat the brakes off him.
Hey, man, New York Knicks legend Nate Robinson. Come on.
All right, Mikey, who you got?
So his name came up, so you guys can probably guess who's going to be my honorable mention. Even though there's some names that weren't on our list. No, it's not Boots. But even though there's some names that didn't make our list that I think I'm sure they may come up.
With a terrible nickname.
Well, those names will come up when you read off who the guys with some votes, right? I'm sure. But I got it. My guy, cool boy,
okay.
Stephen Fulton Jr. is my honorable mention. He's a unified champion. He beat the best of that division. He's mowing them down. And you can't say he's ducking anybody. Brandon Figueroa was supposed to be the next guy in that division, and he went in there and he beat him. Daniel Roman, he went in there. He was supposed to be another guy, former champion. He beat him.
Dusting him off. Yep.
He washed him. He washed Daniel Roman. So I'm gonna go with my man, Cool Boy Steph. I'm just saying, watch out for this guy, man.
That's a good one. Yeah.
He's good enough. He's good enough and has enough fights. He's a champion, a unified champion. So he can't be one of our features on our watch list segment of the show. But watch out for that dude, man.
Yeah. All right, Fares.
Well, I don't think technically he is unified. Is he? Don't you have to have 3 to be unified, or is it just 2?
Are we going to start this?
I thought he had 3.
Listen.
Not according to box.
We're gonna clear all this up on the sparring sessions. That's gonna be.
It needs to be cleared up. It needs to be cleared up.
Please,
God,
please.
Fares, you got a name to throw out there?
Yeah, it was said earlier. It was Arthur Buff Abraham Lincoln Better BF.
Okay.
That's my guy, dude. Like legitimately, like no, because here's the thing. Okay, so like I started watching him, like when Top Rank signed with ESPN, right? So I started watching a lot of Top Rank boxing, right? And the first fight I watched with him, what was it? Let me see. What was it? Enrique? No, it wasn't. What was it? I think it was Alexander Goski. It was in Philly. Like this, he beat this dude in Philly. Then he beat this dude. But then like the Marcus Brown fight, that's the fight where I was like, this dude is on crazy pills. Because in the 4th round, him and Marcus Brown collided heads, and he got this big old cut like down the middle. It dented his forehead, and just blood gushing down the middle of his face, like just like right down here, just like all blood. From the 4th to the 9th inning, his face was half crimson, and he took out Marcus Brown out in the 9th inning. Not 9th inning, the 9th round. Oh, the 9th inning. Why not? It's the end of the fight. The 9th round. So like they whacked heads, and he is the one who got the horrible cut. He's the one who, at any given moment, the ref could have been like, "No, fight's over. Fight is over." Did the ref probably let the fight go on a little bit too long due to the cut and due to the fact that he's Artur Beterbiev and he works for Top Rank? Probably. But it happened. It is what it is. And with this half-faced red gushing out blood, this man knocks out Marcus Brown in the ninth round. And I'm like, yo, this dude is something else. And then this is the fight that I was watching. Like, that's why I told Brodny, I probably have to redo my list. Because originally I had him at 10th. But then he fought Joe Smith Jr. I was high on Joe Smith. You know what I mean? The working man is what he's called. He was beating the living snot out of people on Top Rank as well. So I'm like, oh, it's going to be a good fight. I think Artur's going to win. It's going to be a long fight, probably 8 rounds. Someone's going to get knocked out in the 8th or the ninth round. It took him a round and a half to take out Joe Smith Jr. Knocked him down 3 times.
Never been knocked down. He had never been knocked down before.
Never been knocked down. 3
knockdowns about Joe Smith. Joe Smith ain't nothing. If your whole thing, this applies to every sport.
Never been knocked down before.
If your whole thing is, hey, I'm just a working man, you're not good.
Wow,
you're bad.
He's solid at least.
Yeah, no. Yes. But I'm just talking about not on the same.
Completely destroy somebody who's never been dropped before is
impressive.
Yeah,
it's like legit, like, and it wasn't like, oh, he dropped him. It's like it was like, who allowed this
common man into the ring with Artur Beterbiev?
All right, let's all right, read this list because Deshaun's already got a lot to edit here. Let's all right, well, okay. Read some of the almost made it.
Well, sure. Did you have a name you wanted to list there?
He said he didn't have anybody.
You didn't want to?
No. I just said the name, like Haney. Davis should have been on my list, and that's my apology. So I'll take responsibility for that one.
You don't have to apologize, man.
So the others receiving votes, we've got. Like I said, it's not a long list. We all mostly had the same 10, just in different spots. But Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev, Lomachenko, and Josh Taylor were also receiving votes. Taylor he's a guy who didn't look great in his last fight, but he's got 3 out of the 4 belts at 140. Bivol obviously had the big win over Canelo, but not a whole lot else on his resume, and I don't think anybody really believes he's the top guy at light heavyweight. That would be Beterbiev, and for me, like I said, it's just not enough fights. No signature fight, no signature win to justify putting him on the list. Loma, I get why Loma's still on a lot of pound for pound lists. I do, because he was highly ranked to begin with, and Devin Haney is on all of our lists because he went down there and he beat George Kambosos and he got all the belts, and now he's the guy in that weight division. That was supposed to be Lomachenko. Right, that was Lomachenko's fight, and Lomachenko had to go back home to the Ukraine to defend his country. So he got pulled, obviously, and Devin was able to step up and get that opportunity. Mm-hmm. So I understand people who don't take him off of the list. He was never really on my list to begin with, but I mean, if you had him on the list, I understand not pulling him off for that.
Now, since you mentioned it, there's one more thing I want to mention. As an honorable mention, he doesn't get talked about at all anymore. He only took 1 loss, and that's Teofimo Lopez, right? Mm-hmm. Because he dominated Lomachenko, and Lomachenko didn't look like the better
Loma's
boxer.
still downloading. Loma's still
Yeah,
downloading.
yeah,
Still
yeah.
downloading.
Loma didn't look like the better fighter. I still don't think he's a better boxer. I think Teofimo is just a better boxer. Teofimo had a bad night, right, against Kambosos. And he's had some health issues, and he stepped away from boxing for a little bit. He's supposed to be coming back fighting pretty soon. That's somebody I don't want people to forget about. I think he deserves to be mentioned along with these guys. Like I said, one loss, and he just doesn't get talked about. I don't think that's fair for him, because Lomachenko is still on these lists. And like, again, it wasn't one of those things where with Kambosos, it clearly looked like he just slept on him, and he had an off night. Still almost pulled out the win, right? He completely dominated Lomachenko. Lomachenko wasn't in that fight. Lomachenko does not look like the better boxer out of the two. Lomachenko still gets mentioned.
Yeah, he gave Lomachenko too much respect. I think if he went after him earlier, he would have knocked Lomachenko out.
I agree.
But yeah, and I agree that he doesn't get talked about enough. Hey, I mean, listen, another guy who doesn't get talked about, w's coming back, Ryan Garcia, right? We didn't mention him, but they're both fighting here.
Hey man, you watch yourself.
Teofimo is going to be returning in August.
His 8 million Instagram followers.
Ryan Garcia is fighting at the end of July, so it's going to be.
We're going to be watching. We're going to talk about him.
Why?
Every 3 months, maybe come back and update the list. We got to give some time for stuff to happen.
Jose, you're right. You're right about Teofimo Lopez. I feel like due to the fact the inactivity in that weird contract situation he had, where like he had to fight on Triller, and then he came back to Top Rank. I think his father failed him. His father should be like, no, we're not fighting George Kambosos. You know what I mean?
Well, his father failed him in the ring too, telling him he was up.
Exactly.
No, I mean, his father failed him from the first round when Teofimo got knocked down. He got back to the corner, and they said, "Why don't you get this guy out of here already?"
That's what they wanted, man.
A lot of mismanagement there. All right.
Yeah. But yeah, you're right, Jose. Teofimo Lopez. Hey, keep.
All right. So let's go around real quick. Quick thoughts. All right. Quick final thoughts. We'll wrap this up. And this probably be this might be another 5-part series. We'll break it down. Maybe 2 or 3 part series. But all right, Fares, let's start with you, man. Like, give your final thoughts.
I love boxing.
Perfect.
There you go.
Like literally, man, it's like growing up. Muhammad Ali was everywhere with me. Like I tell people like legit, like, oh, I'm a Muslim. Like, oh, Muslim, Muhammad Ali, right? I was like, yeah, sure, cool. Malcolm X, yeah,
like good word association.
Yeah, cool, yeah, cool me, yeah. Like legitimate and like it's just I'm a big history buff. I love how sporting events fall in the avenues of history, because history you can really signify it by the sporting events around the certain sports. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a point in time in America where the biggest sport in the country was horse racing. And you watched horses race, these, beautiful creatures just running in a dirt circle. Like, and now it's not as big, only the 3 races are big, like the Kentucky, the Belmont, and the Preakness. Like back in the day, you would just roll up on a Sunday morning, watch a horse race, then go about your day. But the one sport that always lived on, fighting, was bare knuckle. And then they started adding gloves. And the only sport that makes good movies out of it, apparently, it's a lot of good, like that, a sport that makes good movies out of it. I fell out of love in boxing after Floyd kind of retired. Because I know a lot because Floyd was Floyd, like Floyd was everywhere. You know what I mean? I didn't really know boxing. Like there was a moment where boxing was golf to me. I didn't watch boxing. I watched Floyd. And golf, I don't watch golf. I watch Tiger. Right. And then when Floyd kind of left, I was like, whatever, who cares? So I missed a lot of these people. I missed a lot of these people's coming up. I missed Spence. I missed Crawford. I missed Loma. I missed I missed Joshua, Wilder, Fury. I missed everybody. Like I missed them all. I'm catching up now, but now I'm watching boxing. When the box, honorable mention, Emmanuel Navarrete. I like that kid. I like that kid. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sure. Any final thoughts?
Oh no, just thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me be on. I think one of the things, like I said before, I've got a renewed passion now to watch these fights because I want to see what happens. So shout out to you guys for obviously. I same with Fares. I've always been a boxing fan, especially the older fights, especially Muhammad Ali, the 70s, the 80s, because of my father and my uncles and things like that. Especially the 90s with Mike because I was growing up at that time. So I have a renewed interest in boxing, especially seeing Mike talk about it, Brodny and you, Jose, because I just love having the conversations with you guys about it. It's fun.
You're correct, right? If I didn't know these three men, I'm gonna give some flowers. Let me give some flowers. Like, you can join me if you want to. You three. If we weren't friends, can I call you friends? We're friends, right?
Of course.
Yes. All right. These my friends. If I didn't speak to these men, I wouldn't give two flying fadoodles of boxing. But seeing them talk about it with the passion and the love for it, like seeing, like, I don't know who the hell Mike was. Mike was friends with Jose and Brodny. Like, you're a friend of my friend, but now I can call Mike a friend. But seeing them talk about it with Jose, like the top 25 list, that's when it all started. Seeing you guys break down history of the game and talk about people you loved, like even people who didn't make the list, like that's why I had to be broken up into a lot of pieces. Like there's times where like Trinidad would come back up and you would see the passion and the love in Brodny's face. Like I'm just like this was my guy. This was my guy. Like this this was my guy. You know what I mean? Like, it could be because he's half Puerto Rican. I don't know. It could be.
I'm not happy.
I'm half Puerto Rican.
Okay. Sorry.
But we love Trinidad. We grew up.
Exactly. No,
yeah.
but like you could see, like, when someone would bring up a fighter and like you or Deshaun or Jose would talk about that fighter, and if it was their guy, you lit up and you're like, yo man, my guy, this guy was the man. Like, and you would some of y'all, like, unlike me, I don't keep my emotions contained when I'm talking about stuff I love. You'll see it. But you can see the subdued emotion and greatness in the eyes. The eyes are the doors to the emotion. And like the way Brodny would, when someone bring up Trinidad, Brodny would be like, yo, that's my dude, man. That was my dude, man. Like he wouldn't say it like that, but you can see it in his eyes. Like he wanted to rant about how good Trinidad was. Like he wanted to be like, yo, man, y'all don't understand how great he was. Like, you know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? Like, you made me love it, man. I thank y'all, man. Like without that 25 list, man, like, I wouldn't be bugging Brodny like, yo, when we doing the PRP, man? When we doing it? When we doing it? But
hey,
yo,
man, thank you, man. We appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. And
like,
obviously,
like the Baltimore Cats. When we when Mike would be like, yo, man, he talked about Hassan Rahman. Like, I shaded him a little bit here, but it's like I still like him. I see him. But like the way he was like, that was my guy, man. He had Baltimore on lock. People were excited when he beat Lennox. We were all on fire. We thought he could beat Lennox again. It didn't happen. But like you can see like the passion in Mike's voice upon it, man. Like how can you not love people talking about something they love? It's beautiful, man. It's freaking beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'll say this as my last thing. Obviously, I enjoy talking sports with Fares because he gets fucking hyped up and he gets me hyped up. It's really fun, honestly, when I get a chance to talk sports with Fares. But yeah, it was fun doing this. Again, my passion is renewed for boxing that I had lost and had put into UFC the last couple of years, which it's even fun talking to Mike, and he's starting to watch mixed martial arts, and so it's cool talking to him about that stuff.
I gave Mike a big ass list. Mike, you got a big list, man. Pick and choose them fights, man. Some of them fights were wild. Wow, man.
Down, man.
Wild, bro.
So
like, yeah, man, like
awesome.
Sweet Pea, man. I love Sweet Pea, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but again, Jose, Brodny, and Mike, thank you for having me on, man. Appreciate it.
Hey,
thank you, man.
Thanks for joining us, man.
All right, B. Well, you want me to go and then B go? I want Mikey to close it out. Mikey's our closer. He's our closer.
Okay, because I do want to mention to Mike. I checked, and your boy is not a unified champion. He has 2 belts.
He's considered unified.
He's got 2 belts.
Right, but he's considered unified because the other guy has 2 belts. So he's a unit. They're both.
You can't both be unified.
Okay,
that don't
hey,
make no
we just talked.
sense, Mike.
We just talked about boxing and how weird it gets.
Yeah, but the other guy,
and not my call.
the other guy, as I mentioned, is fighting tomorrow.
He's fighting.
It's not tonight. It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
On DAZN. So he's fighting. I don't know how to say his name. So
tomorrow, as in Sunday the 26th, because when this
25th,
video comes out,
25th.
Well, today's the 25th.
Yes.
So
well, then I guess he's fighting today.
Okay. So then Saturday the 25th. The 25th. Yeah. He would have already fought by the time this comes out.
That card actually isn't that bad.
I was gonna say they got Jessica McCaskill is fighting as well.
Ooh.
The Jesse Rodriguez Franco versus, I don't know how to say this guy's last name either. I'm not.
You know what? I might watch that tonight and drink. There you go.
Yeah. No, but Nikita. Again, I don't know how to say this guy's last name. I'm terrible. I feel bad.
Names
Nikita Abibi. I'm sorry, Ababi. It's Ababi. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I forget. So I'm sorry.
We'll go with that. Sounds good.
Awful. It's Nikita's fighting though. Yeah. So there you go. So yeah, definitely tune into that on DAZN. I want to thank Shug and Fares for joining us. It's always a lot of fun when we can get a group on here. Mike and Jose, obviously. Man, I don't want to thank you. You're part of the show, so whatever. You did your job.
You're
welcome.
Congratulations. But yeah, so we're gonna make this a regular thing. Maybe every 3 months or so, 3 or 4 months. We'll get back together, get the group back together, and kind of update the list. Like we mentioned, we've got the watch list series started. We're going to start up another one with sparring sessions, so keep an eye out for those. And we're gonna be recording some more videos, maybe talk about some documentaries and things like that. So we got a lot of content coming for you.
All right, okay. Look, thank you. Hey, Fares, Shug. I mean, Shug was part of the 25 all-time list. Fares was a part of it too in the background. He was there for the
I was supposed to be on it, and like I messed up. Like I screwed up my thing.
Hey, you're here now. That's what matters. But thank you guys for being on here. And thank everybody that's going to watch this and leave their comments. Now, look, we're small right now, but like boxing fans, like it's like wildfire, right? Once they start seeing the channel, it blows up, and we already know because boxing brings out that primal emotion in all of us, right? We already know we're gonna get comments and different opinions, extreme opinions, in fact, on a lot of these fighters, right? So all we're gonna say is like same thing with the 25 all-time list. Hey, just check your emotions at the door when you come over here, man, because this is big boy talk over here, right? We don't get childish with it. We just give our opinions. We got opinions, put it in a comment, right? It's all good. We respect your opinion. And also you gotta remember, like, this pound for pound list, right? We're talking about the top fighters in the game right now. You might think, hey, Boots Ennis deserves to be on there because he will wash Errol Spence or he will wash Bud Crawford. But the problem is Boots don't have the resume as those guys, right? Like, that matters. Your resume matters. Hardware matters, right? Like, what are you carrying belts? Who have you beaten? That stuff matters. It's that's part of it. And the pound for pound list is going to constantly change. So, if you don't like who's on the list now, you think somebody should be on the list, well, they're going to have the opportunity for sure. So, hey, look, I appreciate it either way, whether you love or hate it. Thanks for watching the videos. And we hope that we've done a good enough job to bring you back for more. But Mikey, I want you to go ahead and close the show.
So, again, as we said, Fares, Shug, appreciate you guys as always. Listen, man, this is a lovely almost 3 hours that we spent. But it just when we do these lists, man, this is what it turns into.
I got in trouble at work because of this.
Well, we don't want to mess up your money.
It's all right. No, that's all right. I don't get paid.
But we appreciate that anyway, that you're here. And whenever we get together, it tends to run over like this. So that, like you said, that's the passion that came out. And to your point, Jose, hey, you got a problem with the list? Thank you. You like the list? Thank you. I'm willing to say that the list that we came up with, I put it up against any of these other ones. It can nowhere be near the worst list that I've seen and it's a lot of bad lists floating out there. So I
And
feel
Mike,
confident in this
yeah.
list that we
Not
have.
bad list. There's a lot of different lists, Mike. It's all
See,
opinion.
Bro-
A lot
Brodny,
It's
of
opinion.
Brodny.
But you know what? The
No.
end of the day,
Bad.
to Jose's point,
Sports Illustrated.
whether we like it or not, we still respect it, right?
I don't.
We still respect it. We keep it. That's your opinion. We keep it at what it is. So, enjoy the list, man. I'm happy. I'm happy with the list. And you guys know me how I feel about lists. If I didn't like this list, you guys would know it, especially because I work with you guys, and you would definitely know it. So I'm happy with this list, man. So again, thank you guys for coming. And, Ring Kings, man, we here, we working, we working.
Yes. All right. Look, we'll leave it at that. Hey, Fares and Shug, thank you once again. Hey, let everybody know where they can find you guys. Fares, go ahead, and Shug, go ahead, let everybody know.
Yeah, you can find me. I'm at Fares Muthana on Twitter. Like you see, my name is right there at Fares Muthana. Apparently, there's no other Fares Muthanas on planet Earth, so I'm 101, baby. You can find me every the Let's Get Ready Network. We do movies, TV shows, sports, trailer reactions, reviews. We do all that jazz. We follow this movie trivia league at the moment, and it's pretty fun every Friday to talk about it at 8:00. And then I run the highlight sports division basically, and we have a couple of shows. We have our tennis show called The Rally, which is coming back for our Wimbledon breakdown, and we talk about how Wimbledon are a bunch of nimrods for banning Russian athletes because they blame the Russian athletes for the war on the Ukraine. It makes no sense because yeah. And we also have our hockey show called Playoff Beards. We are in the last bits of the Stanley Cup. We have Dagan and Adelia. They hold that down. Adelia being a Colorado Avalanche fan who is in the Stanley Cup. So imagine her freaking out every that time watching her team. And then we have Good Friends, Better Rivals, which is coming back in the fall, which is our football show. It's me and Caleb. He's my good friend, but he's my better rival because I'm a Giants fan. He's a Cowboys fan. And we all know one thing in America. No one likes Cowboys fans. As well as betting the NFL, which is him and D Weezy. They are basically our gambling experts. They're currently doing a series on over-unders, winning totals for each team in each division. It started last week. So go on that channel, give it a like and subscribe if you haven't.
All right. That's the Let's Get Ready Network. You can find them on YouTube. All right, Shug, man, what you got?
Yeah, you can just find me like it says right here, Sugeknight323 at TikTok and Twitter. I'm also on Twitch at Sugeknight1323, where I just play video games and the card games, and then also to my YouTube channel, Sugeknight323, where I'll be doing some more videos and things like that of different things. Once again, thank you for having me on. Just make sure to follow, like, and like this video, and let's get them up to a good amount of followers on here.
Hey, appreciate that. And you can find the crew here, man. It's me, B, and Mikey. Okay, you're watching us, Ring Kings Podcast. Also, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Ring Kings Pod. All right, Mikey, you want to give you want to plug the.
Which one are you, Sugar Ray Leonard?
Yeah. Oh, and so
I'm Hagler. I'm Hagler.
I mean, Brodny Duran.
I'll take it.
I'll take it. So I guess you talk about my other show. Yeah, 1/4 of the off and on off the record podcast. Go ahead over there and check out some stuff. We got some things there, man.
We got some stuff in the vault. Okay,
we got some things in the vault. And we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, shout out to my crew over there as well. But yeah, this is Ring Kings Podcast, man. I've been on record and saying the best boxing podcast out there. My co-hosts don't like me to be that forward with it, but hey, it's just the truth, man. It's just the truth. I'm only here to tell the truth. So
it's the best boxing podcast you ever heard of yet. Okay, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go. Also, if you watch other sports,
who have obviously heard of it at this point, yeah.
No. If you're into football, basketball, USC, we have another channel, Lunch Break Hot Take. All right, we cover a lot of Ravens stuff over there. I'm a Ravens fan. B's a Panthers fan, so there's a lot of that. But we cover all the top NFL news and NBA news as well as UFC when there's major events. So if you're into that, Lunch Break Hot Take on YouTube and Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at LBHTShow. All right. But once again, this is the Ring Kings podcast. If you're new here, hit that like button. Also hit that subscribe button. B, you got anything to say before we get up out of here?
Nope.
I got one more thing to say. We have a Patreon. Okay. Patreon.com at LBHT Show. Okay. That's where you can sign up for our tiers. There are 3 tiers for oh, you got the cards right there. Yes,
Right
yes.
there. See that?
Yeah.
Wait, let me take out the background.
Yes.
Yeah, I can still see it, right? Yeah, I can still see it. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Right there,
So
I'll throw up the picture here.
yeah,
It's
there
a
it is.
custom poker set featuring our top 25 fighters of all time. They came out really, really well. Each card has a different fighter on it. I think it's a pretty nice gift for the Patreon. There was actually one thing I did want to say. It's Nikita Ababi.
There you go.
Nice,
There you go.
nice.
There you go. All right.
My
They're the cards right there. Yes. Those are some nice quality cards right there. So go check it out. And yes, that's a coin that you can get for signing up on Patreon as well. That's for our Lunch Break Hot Take. That's not available anymore. The one that Shug has, that's a collector's item. That's no longer in print. But the other one,
I think me and Fares, like 3 other people have this one.
Jay, Garnett, Derek.
Well, you got to live the whole list, but it's not many. It's a couple. Yes. So
I'll sell it right now for $500.
I also want to point out, I think that makes me Wilfred Benitez, by the way.
You're Wilfred Benitez?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what?
I'm the outside looking in. I'm on the outside looking in.
That makes you a pro. That makes you a pro. Okay. All right. B, you want to take us out?
Yeah.
All right.
If y'all are ready, go ahead and hit the outro.
Hey, thank y'all for watching. Be on the lookout for more content here pretty soon. And we'll see you next time. Peace out.
Things that you